Goddamn.
Un, dos, tres.
Oh my God! That's just too dirty!
Yeah. This shit's fire.
This is a fucking banger.
Ladies and gentlemen, cats, snakes, dogs, chicken, elderly people, workers, and twerkers.
Yeah.
Turn it up!
I don't give a fuck.
It's the Ruckus. What the fuck you expect?
I body slapped my wife, my nigga.
Greg, mamahuevo, bienvenido.
What up, Craigslist? All right, fellas, let's get it
She's
started.
the new admin.
Everybody ready?
Yeah.
Let's go.
All right, y'all.
I'm just gonna say this, brothers. Be careful. I can mute you now.
Dale.
Oh, this sucks. I fucking hate you.
I had to give him the access, bro.
Nah, I won't do that. No, don't worry. Unless we talk about Selena.
Nah. No se pasa.
So on another episode of the Ruckus, we're about to get crazy here. And KC just got admin power, so I don't know what's gonna happen tonight. We're about to get crazy. We're about to get spicy. So on tap for this first part of the episode, we're gonna talk about something that's gonna be a little bit complicated to talk about, but I think it's important because it has a lot of repercussions. So in our group chat, we talked about the new movie by Nate Parker that's coming out. The trailer for the movie just came out, and a lot of people are excited about the direction of this movie, especially considering the things that have been happening in the country, protesting all these things. And considering the fact that he made the movie Birth of a Nation a few years ago, which was supposed to be his big coming out party, unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but it turns out that on the eve of the release of that film, Birth of a Nation, old accusations of an alleged rape that happened while he was in college resurfaced. And a lot of people thought that it was kind of curious that those allegations resurfaced right around the time where he was making what a lot of people also thought was a very problematic film, because it talked about the Nat Turner rebellion, where Nat Turner literally went around killing a whole bunch of white folk. And there were a lot of people that were mixed feelings with that. And I know a lot of white people didn't want to see that movie on the screen. And so I just had to add that anyway. So unfortunately, the allegations came out about what had happened in college. He was never charged. They went to trial. He was never charged. The other person that was accomplice to the alleged crime was convicted, but then had his conviction overturned. Now, what I want to ask you guys is, in light of those allegations that happened years ago, and in light of him having that big chance with that Birth of a Nation film, he lost that chance. He's coming back now with kind of a redemptive type of movie, a chance to pick himself back up again. My question to you guys is, does he deserve a chance? Does a person who commits a crime of that
Allegedly
at that level,
did he get convicted?
Allegedly, excuse me.
He never committed the crime.
Yo, hold on.
Okay, allegedly.
Yeah, okay.
He wasn't convicted of committing the crime.
Okay,
Sorry.
okay.
He wasn't
No, he
convicted,
wasn't convicted.
of
He was
committing the crime.
accused. He was accused. So a person that gets accused of such a crime. Hold on a second, Alex. A person that either gets accused or gets charged with a rape,
That's two things,
a
bro.
murder.
That's two things. You just said
No.
charged.
No, okay,
Let me
but
finish the question,
Okay, yeah.
and then we'll take it apart.
I want to make sure that it's a well-rounded question. Does a person that's either accused of or charged with a crime deserve a second chance? And in the case of the person who's been charged with the crime, they've done their sentence. They did their 10 years, their 20 years, their 30 years. They came out. They want to move fast forward with their life. Do they get that second chance? What do you guys think?
Depending on the crime.
Alex, go.
But on the Nate no. Depending on the crime, but also on the Nate Parker part, I'll say this: he was never convicted. He went through his thing, his ordeal. And like, I'll give you this scenario. Imagine if that movie resonated with white folks at that time. Would the George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, all these Black Lives Matter protests happen at that time? You know what I'm trying to say? Like,
yeah, you're saying had the movie come out, would it have an impact on white people's consciousness? And the answer is no.
You don't think so? Because it looked like they were suppressed in that movie.
It did to me too.
It looked like I
had to look for that.
That happened so long ago and out of nowhere. He was never indicted. He went through the trial, everything, and he didn't get charged. And then when a movie about insurrection, they suppressed the movie about insurrection, and it was so blatant. And then when we had a pandemic, everything ceased to stop. Like today, I saw some shit that the carbon emissions. This is a side note, right quick. The carbon emissions in the whole world dropped by 7% because of the pandemic. And so when we look at that even with a pandemic, the whole world stopped. So when the whole world stopped, they have nothing to do. So all they have is a screen. So when they see a screen and they finally see, imagine this happened when Rodney King, I think his name is Rodney King, happened. I'm being serious.
You mean
Rodney King was
it would
fucking.
have been suppressed?
They would have no. They would have seen, like, if a pandemic happened while Rodney King happened, the George Floyd shit would never happen. I think.
So before you continue,
I'm saying the whole world was watching because the whole world had nothing to do. The whole world wasn't distracted. So they got to see what happened to George Floyd and actually saw the pain that was happening, that was being hidden. That's what I was trying to say.
And here's the thing about that,
Lou. Just to get a little more clarification. I know it doesn't have it. It's more of a picture for the question that you actually asked, but the thing with Nate Parker. So was he going through trial during the movie's release, before release, or was
No.
back when the accusation made years ago?
No, so the context for the accusations are this. This happened in college 15 years prior to the release of the film. And he had already gone through the trial. He had already gone through the accusations. He had been, he was not guilty. They didn't charge him. The person that he could, because what ended up happening is, and just to give clarification, there was a girl he had been in contact with previous to the night of the assault, or the alleged assault, and she was supposedly drunk that night. She says she wasn't. He says other people say she was, or vice versa. She says she was drunk. He says she wasn't. He says that it was consensual intercourse and that she asked for a second person to join. She says that there was never any consent. She says that she woke up after the attack in the morning with him, again, allegedly having intercourse with her, where she went ahead and filed a report. And then they went through the whole process of filing the report. There was a restraining order. He couldn't come near her, which he actually violated. To make it short, he was never found guilty of an actual crime. The second person that was that had been charged was found guilty, but then he was found not guilty afterwards. It was overturned. And so 15 years went by and the accusations resurfaced literally about a month, maybe a little more, a little less, on the verge of the release of that film. And this is why a lot of people think that because of the nature of the film, which was the Nat Turner Revolt, which a lot of people a lot of white people don't want to talk about the Nat Turner Revolt, let alone see it on screen. A lot of people think that that's the reason that this accusation came up. And a lot of other people do make the argument that it was the fact that it was this burgeoning black producer, screenwriter. He's very talented or whatever. And he was making, and it was just like, no, it's not your turn. I do want to make just a really quick clarification. The fact that we're talking about this in this way doesn't mean that, and this is for anyone who's listening to this, and I think it's important, it doesn't mean that because we're having this conversation, we want to negate the severity of the rape charges. So that we just want to make that clear. It's not that we're saying that we don't believe her or that it happened or that he did it. I just want to make sure that we focus on the question, which is, having had those allegations or potential charges, does he deserve a second chance to now make a movie and have his redemption?
Well, does anyone deserve a chance? And The question was primarily whether it's just an allegation or if the person was convicted and served their time. And now,
oh, Kelvin, give me both scenarios. If a person has an allegation, do they deserve? If a person is charged and serves their time, do you think they deserve to have that redemption?
So if there's an allegation that's unresolved yet, whether the person's guilty or not, no, they don't. That hasn't gone to court and hasn't gone through the proper procedure. Man, and on the other point, whether it's a person that is guilty, served their time, and seems to be, because it's one thing to serve your time, the other thing is to be apologetic and to understand what you did, and and that what you did was wrong. It's tough. I mean, a lot of people want to sit here and be like, "Oh, it depends on what the action was," but at the end of the day, we need to have, I guess, like a redemptive arc for no matter who it is and no matter what they do.
Hold on. All right.
Is that Mike?
Nah.
Hold on.
When I said that,
Ding. Guys, let him finish his point.
Let him finish.
So hold on, Kelvin, you go ahead and finish. Alex, you can go, and then then Q, you can finish up. Go ahead, Kelvin.
No, I get it. It's a tough thing to be like. Yeah, no matter what you did, at one point or another, you need to be able to redeem yourself from what you did. But we got to understand that the way that the prison system works here doesn't. It's just something it's just a penalty. There's no form of redemption within. There's no form of redemption within the prison system here, or within the criminal justice system here. So, man, it's hard. But I do think there needs to be a way that no matter what you've done in your life, as long as you served your time, there has to be a way for you to come back up, because we can't just sit here and be like, oh, but if you did this, then you don't deserve a life. Because then at that point, then why don't we just kill that person off? Because once he gets out of prison, what the fuck does he have to live for? He can't go back to having a regular life. He can't get a job. He can't do anything.
That's true.
Or she.
I understand. No, I understand that part, but I'm gonna let you finish.
No. Go ahead.
All right. So. No.
I peeped that. Continue. I peeped that.
Do you see this redemption for? And I don't want to say I don't want to say this because I'm gonna sound like a QAnon fucking fan, but the pedo shit. I can't get over that shit.
Them dudes deserve like the worst.
That's why I said
like,
nah.
torture.
I went nah.
Some crimes deserve like torture, to be honest.
And the thing is that pisses me off is that QAnon fucking took that shit and fucking rolled with it. And when that shit was actually still happening, they made it worse because people stopped believing into it. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
So back to what I'm going. I the term sometimes, but sidetrack. Fucking what I'm saying is this: like some people, like even if it's murder, like I understand, but then I've met certain people that I kind of suspect that are psychos, fucking psychopaths.
Yes, it's okay,
and I'm like, yo,
but then that's.
No, because the thing is, well, like I'll tell like when I was in Iraq, I met a few people. Like I served with people in Iraq, and like we were doing prison transports, and like all we had to do was bring they weren't guilty yet. We didn't know if they were fucking terrorists or whatever, or part of the group, but yo, these motherfuckers are playing fucking heavy metal, and the thing is, you have to think about it from a different culture, like not from the United States. The thing is, they've never heard this, like, bah, 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 I'm gonna kill you, yeah, kill me. Like, that bullshit. So they're playing that shit in their ear. They're whispering fucking crazy ass shit in Arabic in their ear. And these are these are crazy motherfuckers. Like I was in the Marines, so these motherfuckers are crazy. Like yo, and like they were from like Western Pennsylvania too.
Shout out to K-Rod.
Yo. So I'm just saying, like, yo, some people love this shit. Some people love it. So the thing is, you can't say.
We're talking about Nate Parker though, and
no. We're not.
No, but he's saying that
people
we talked about the whole thing, that people need a second chance, redemption. The thing is, not everyone deserves it. I believe.
But then
I'm saying,
well, there's a difference.
Unless you prove it yourself. Sorry.
Okay, hold on. So I'm not gonna take too much time because I know Cuba wants to get his point across. But in that aspect, then, and even you brought up pedophiles as well. Then that's where we get into mental health too, right? Where
hell no.
Wait, yeah. I mean, does anyone know if pedophilia a mental disorder?
Some countries are treating it as a mental health disorder. Yeah.
That's that thing. That's that slippery slope there. That's that slippery slope.
I know it's a slippery slope, and that's why.
Okay, so let's.
You either believe in restorative justice or you don't.
Plain and simple. You can't pick and choose.
Nah, I don't
you
think
either believe
like
people can restore some type of like humanity or something like that, or you don't. Right? It doesn't mean you let them out.
I don't think it's black and white like that. I think it really does depend on the charge
and the severity.
That's what restorative justice is, right? Like the idea that it matters to care about the criminal themselves, right? To care about their own experience and try to figure them out so they don't keep doing that.
Or so we could prevent other people from
like you torturing people ain't gonna. I mean, we lock up black and brown people all day long, and that shit don't fix no problem.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying pedophiles.
No, that's not gonna help either.
I say pedophiles.
It doesn't matter what the person did.
That doesn't help. It doesn't matter what they do.
I think them dudes definitely deserve death.
Hold on a second.
But what is it? What is your goal to do that? To torture them or to keep people safe?
Man, is to put out a message that to not fucking do it.
Right. So what if I tell you? What if I tell you that doesn't help? That doesn't work.
There should also be programs to prevent that to happen. There's currently nothing open for people who think like that. Right. Anybody who thinks like that automatically gets shunned.
All right, Brutus, go ahead, Brutus.
Let's step this back because I definitely want to give Cuba his chance. He's been waiting in line for a second. Just to that point that Abram said real quick, we have the death penalty in the United States, and statistics show us that having the death penalty does not deter people from committing crimes. So having a punishment as a way to send people a sign is not going to deter people from those activities. So go ahead, Cuba. Just wanted to throw that out there. What do you got to say about the redemptive side? Because you agreed with what Kraken said about either you believe in restorative justice or you don't. So what's your point?
I believe in it, but again, I think this is the part that we as human beings, we it's that thing that we want to be moral, but at the same time, we end up being a living contradiction. So we say everybody deserves that second chance, that second opportunity. But then again, we move that goalpost. Like, okay, it's like, let's go back to the 80s and 90s when everybody was selling crack and cocaine. They were considered like the scum of the earth, low level, like how they do this, you're destroying all this stuff. But then once you go to the rationale, you think about what led to that, the government putting it in. You don't have an opportunity in this world, racism, et cetera, et cetera. It's a lot of dynamics. You're not just selling drugs because you're selling drugs. It's an economical need. And it took people like damn near 30 years why everybody's doing the things that they do. Same thing falls for this. You know what I'm saying? We don't really have the right or wrong answer. Not to see like what leads the people to do what they do when it comes to like sexual assault, whether it's molestation, rape, et cetera, we don't know. We just know at this moment, at this time being, is very taboo. And at this moment, anybody who commits that kind of crime is like my man said, you deserve to get the chair and your dick cut off. You know what I'm saying? So we're not there yet to figure out what it is. I do believe that people deserve that second chance. I thought what Nate Parker went through was extremely bullshit. And, excuse me, I believe he deserved a second chance just off the fact that he got done dirty. And again, I know we tend to be living contradiction. I believe just at this moment, everybody deserves a second chance. But because I would admit to myself, I live in that. I'm in that part of my life that if you do a certain crime that's just like completely like fucked up, rape,
and you're doing it to multiple people. To me, that's the
rape,
thing.
It's whatever the case, rape, pretty much going after the people that can't defend themselves. So rape, molestation, attacking a kid, attacking an old lady. You know what I'm saying? People that can't defend themselves. If you're that much of a coward to do that, then you deserve that second chance. For me, it won't come from me. I don't think you deserve that second chance.
What about, okay, so let me, KC, let me ask you this question. What about the victim? So now we're talking about redemptive justice to the person who's committed the crime as a way to maybe deter that they do it again. What about the victim in all of this?
Time out. I don't mean to interrupt you, but after that, I gotta tell a quick Mike Tyson story. Continue. I gotta tell a quick Mike Tyson story.
So I want to add
after
something.
you're done with this.
Oh, you tell us now.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
Mike.
back in the days, like before Tyson became who he was like not a stick-up kid, but he was infamous for robbing old people.
Yeah.
So there was this thing in New York that kids used to do. There was this thing that kids used to do.
They still do it.
DMX.
Yeah, he did the same thing. He did the same thing that DMX did, but out in Brooklyn. Yeah. He did the same thing in Brooklyn. So when he was in Brooklyn, he ended up robbing You God's mom from the Wu-Tang Clan.
I like You God, man. I think he's underrated.
You God was like, You God must have been like 6 or 7 at the time, and Mike Tyson must have been like 13 or 14 at the time, and he robbed, he robbed You God's mom because he used to do this trick, like he used to help people with the grocery, and after he helped the old lady with the grocery, he used to beat them down and rob them. So,
that's pretty smart.
Shut up, you asshole. So,
that policy and shit.
So,
I'm gonna do that.
You God was on Vlad, and he told the story. So fast forward, now they're doing this thing on Tyson. The Tyson is on Vlad right now. So the dude that's interviewing Tyson, he tells a story how You God was on Vlad, and he tells the story how Mike Tyson robbed his mom in front of him, and what he robbed from him. And Mike Tyson didn't know. He was like, "Oh my God, like that was him!" Like because he did that to so many people, he didn't know he was who. So he tells the story like, "Holy shit, I didn't know that was him." And like he felt so bad, and he was like, "Yo, if you find You God, find him. I want to give his mom whatever I robbed from her and some." So it's that weird redemption shit that we're all talking about. You know what I mean? He was like so fucked up back in the day that he really he didn't give a fucking live or die or who the fuck your mom was. But then when he found out that it was somebody that
I mean, it's a good point. I mean, I guess what you're pointing at is seeing the what is it? The guilt in the perp, right? In the perpetrator, the criminal's face, and giving him credit for that. Yeah, right? So and that shit is happening. But as a system, you have to. But as a system, you have to try to get people there, right? You can't just hope that people get there. Right. 100%. Right. So as a system that you're paying for, and you're trying to help people, and not even help people, but you're trying to maintain a civil society, you got to invest in trying to get that redemption going, right? You can't just hope for it.
But here's the question, and I want to bring it back to the other side of it, and then you could go ahead and talk, KC. What about the victim? So, for example, in that specific example, great example, Mike, Mike Tyson is going to feel some sort of redemption because now he's like, oh, shit, I did bad. But he didn't live with the trauma of that robbery for the last 30 or 40 years like You God's mom did. And so now Mike Tyson gets to say sorry, give the money back, and feel like he did the right thing. But how do we deal with the pain and the trauma that You God's mom dealt with? And I think KC, and you could speak on this because you had mentioned that at some point that your mom had been robbed, I think, and the trauma that she felt about that afterwards. Is it fair, for example, for your mom to deal with the trauma for the rest of her life of getting robbed, while the criminal, the perpetrator, gets to feel like he's done better, he's going to heaven? Is that fair? How do we deal with that? KC, what do you got to say?
Yeah, well, all I was going to say is that when Kelvin and Mike were speaking about, like Mike said, he wouldn't, in his eyes, he wouldn't give him the second chance. Is not coming from him. It's also like we can also say, yeah, I would give that person a second chance until it hits home, until it happens to you. You don't know really what you're gonna do, and I don't care what anybody says because you can.
That's a
bias. But that's what I'm saying. Also, it's like all of us are talking about until it hits home, until it happens to one of us or close to home. Then we'll really know where our vision is, you know. But to speak about what we need to do about that that trauma, I don't think I have the knowledge. I would say Kraken, who's more of the book person here, or isn't he a psychiatrist or something? You know, maybe he can speak on how to deal with that, or maybe even you, Lou. But I'm not the person to tell you. I'm just gonna tell you, I don't
have the answers because I'm gonna be honest.
Bro.
There's a
about redemption and shit like
about
that.
The victim, about the trauma,
So here's the thing about it. Like, for example, if I was you, God, and somebody had robbed my mom, and then dude came back to me 30 years later and was like, "I'm sorry," I'm gonna be like, "Yo, my man, fuck you for real." And if I get the anger in me that if I had like something in my hand, I'll probably try to stab the motherfucker because ain't no sorry gonna take away the 30 years of pain. Nah, man, fuck if it's Tyson. I'll go down fucking swinging.
And that's fair. You ain't swinging at Tyson. Fuck out of here. You ain't swinging at Tyson. You saw this, man? You ain't swinging at Tyson. Fuck you.
I want to
suicide. You can't win.
I want to add to this conversation, like Larry Nassar. You know who that is? The guy who like sexually abused all those.
The gymnast dude, the doctor.
Yeah. You really gonna give that dude a second chance, you know?
But this is why I said
if he comes back,
hold on. It's not a second
new
chance, and that he's a doctor again.
Like if he,
but you keep him locked up forever. But while he's locked up forever, you gotta help people get redeemed. Like you can't just throw somebody in a box, man, and just wait 50 years so he could die. Like
I would have preferred like
okay, hold up. I got a perfect example. I got a perfect example.
What does that solve? What does that fucking solve?
Okay, but here's the thing.
People are so fucking. People got a hard on for fucking death penalty.
Time out.
In all reality, what does it do?
Time out.
Go ahead.
He's 23.
I don't want to cut people off, but I got one more example I want to bring up. I'm going to assume everybody saw the movie about the kids of the Central Five.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Everybody remember the ending, right? How they got off? Who was the person that got him off? The dude that he fought with that was in jail that found out he was the one that was raping all those girls? Okay, so what about that situation? He's in jail for that shit, but then he found out that there was other people that was in jail because of his bullshit. You know what I'm saying? So his redemption was like, okay, I got to do right for whatever reason, whether he found a second religion or whatever the case may be.
He's just owning up.
But it doesn't give that man his time in jail back.
Yeah. But gets him free though.
That's true.
So listen, this is I just want to point out, and the reason I'm being a dick about this is because I just want to point out how complicated both sides of the argument because they're valid.
Oh, he wanted that fame.
Right. I mean, you also underestimate like the different phases that victims go through, right? Like when you grabbing something and hurting your Mike Tyson DK, you know that's you at a phase a victimhood, right? Like you're still in angry phase, which is you have the right to be in that phase. But not every victim has that phase, man. Like people really do forgive, exactly. and a lot of it that's when you get a lot of freedom from this whole thing. That's where you really liberate yourself from the victim mentality. Is when you forgive. I mean, people will tell you that shit all the time, and it's hard. I mean, it ain't.
That's a great point. That is a great point. Before we continue, because we're about to move on, I just want so Niemolino had made a comment about he just wants to put people in front of a firing squad. And
not everybody.
He's been
not
busy.
Everybody.
What's up?
I don't think everybody should be put in a firing squad.
What
obviously,
the fuck's wrong with you, kid?
Pedophiles definitely have a special place in hell.
I do think that the family, immediate family, the mother, father, or brother, one or two relatives, get to punch them square in the face, at least.
I mean, if you saw the trial, the dad he jumped over. Nah, if you see the video of the trial, wait, hold up. If you see the video of the trial, one of the dads jumped over and was gonna beat his ass, and he had like half of the fucking court trying to stop him.
Yeah, there was that dude,
and that shit made me cry. I was like,
remember they used to show those crazy videos like in the courtrooms and like police videos, those wild videos like on Fox.
Yeah, ain't nobody gonna forgive that shit, bro.
One of them was
El más berraco.
I know what you're thinking. Where can I find more? For full episodes of the Ruckus Podcast, you can check us out on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and your other digital streaming services. The Ruckus, it's organized chaos. Don't worry, we're working on getting Mike a better mic. Get it, Mike? And don't worry about it. You'll get it eventually.